Este año, Kandy, Sri Lanka, será la sede del tercer Foro Global Nyéléni. Productores de alimentos a pequeña escala, pueblos indígenas, feministas, trabajadores de la salud, activistas por la justicia climática, defensoras de la economía social y solidaria y otras luchadoras y luchadores de base llegarán desde más de 80 países para cambiar radicalmente el sistema. Frente a un sistema global violento, nos estamos levantando, resistiendo y construyendo poder desde abajo. Este foro es una chispa en nuestra lucha colectiva. Camina con nosotros rumbo Kandy. Visita nyéleniglobalforum.org.
Comenzamos este segundo bloque de la radio en vivo desde Sri Lanka, Radio Nyéléni. Como bien saben, en el día de hoy y en el día de ayer estamos en la previa al que empiece el foro oficialmente. Estamos en las asambleas previas. Ayer se realizó la Asamblea de Diversidades y tuvimos la oportunidad de conversar con diferentes compañeras y compañeros que integraron esa asamblea. Y hoy se realizaron dos asambleas, la de Juventudes y la de Mujeres. En minutos empieza además la reunión de los pueblos originarios. Hoy más temprano escucharon a mi compañero Miguel entrevistar a unas compañeras sobre la Asamblea de Juventudes en inglés y ahora es el turno de las Juventudes en español, en este caso de las Juventudes latinoamericana. Y por eso me están acompañando Jamie Martínez, que ella es de Nicaragua, integrante de la CLOC Vía Campesina. ¿Cómo estás, Jamie? Bienvenida.
Muy bien acá.
Y también estamos con la compañía de Julián Ariza, que Julián es parte de la Sociedad Científica Latinoamericana de Agroecología, conocida como SOCLA. Bienvenido, Julián, gracias por acompañarnos.
Muchas gracias, compañera, por acá, con gusto para compartir un poco.
Bien, vamos a empezar por la pregunta más básica. ¿Por qué hacer un espacio que sea de jóvenes, para los jóvenes y por los jóvenes?
Muy bien. Dentro de la voz de la juventud es necesaria, ha sido también parte de una necesidad que se ha presentado en los distintos iniciativos, que se ha venido caminando y recorriendo, y la juventud ha conquistado estos espacios, pues. La asamblea, que es esta primera asamblea en el foro de Nyéléni, llevamos tres, es importantísima.
Sí, hay que recordar además que este tercer foro de Nyéléni es la primera vez que se hace un espacio asambleario de juventudes. Entonces quizás hay un antecedente también de que habilitan esta posibilidad hoy de encontrarnos a conversar y a identificar varios elementos en común de esas tensiones que hay frente a los procesos intergeneracionales. Y yo creo además que ahí hay un nexo bastante cercano con las luchas que han venido dando las compañeras. Entonces digamos que estas reivindicaciones de las juventudes están bastante cercanas también a las luchas antipatriarcales. Entonces, bueno, eso se evidencia cuando podemos sentarnos, juntarnos, conversar y ponernos, digamos, como esos elementos en común que se presentan, como lo decía Jamie, tanto al interior de nuestras propias organizaciones como en otros espacios, digamos, que hacen a la forma hegemónica de relacionarnos.
Bien, es muy importante esto que dicen porque, claro, es como un momento histórico, porque está sucediendo muchas cosas por primera vez en este foro, pero sin embargo hay un acumulado que les permite estar haciendo hoy estas cosas por primera vez. Me gustaría que me cuenten un poco qué discusiones se dieron hoy en las asambleas, qué acuerdos, cómo pueden recapitular o evaluar lo que sucedió en la jornada de hoy.
Bueno, yo creo que lo de la jornada de hoy no deberíamos de basarnos únicamente en lo que pasó hoy ya en el desarrollo, sino que lo podemos ver desde el proceso de la ejecución de la metodología y demás, que fue un proceso de construcción colectiva, de cómo pensarnos, y fue verdaderamente un reto porque no había un trabajo previo tan intenso como como puede ser en el caso de las compañeras que tienen, una trayectoria más larga, pero se logró. Y creo que la metodología que se utilizó permitió que las voces de los jóvenes de las distintas regiones, de las distintas organizaciones globales, fuesen escuchadas. Entre los temas centrales que tocábamos tenían que ver con la necesidad de estos espacios, de que dentro de la propuesta de acción esté la participación de la juventud de manera transversal, interseccional en todo momento, también viéndolo desde las juventudes diversas, desde las juventudes mujeres y demás.
Sí, el debate estuvo enfocado en la sección 3 de lo que ha sido la propuesta de agenda política común. Entonces, si bien en el documento general aparece la vinculación de las juventudes como un sujeto protagónico de los procesos por la soberanía alimentaria, pues hay ciertos elementos que hay que recalcarlos, que hay que visibilizarlos con más fuerza porque no están presentes. Y no van a estar presentes si no se generan este tipo de espacios también de la voz propia de las juventudes. Entonces, así como hay elementos en común, también podemos ver que regionalmente hay también unas particularidades, digamos, que diferencian esas formas de vulneraciones, ¿no? Por ejemplo, claramente lo identificábamos con compañeros y compañeras de Palestina. Claro que nos damos acá nosotras un debate sobre juventudes, pero allá es aterrador lo que está sucediendo con estas nuevas generaciones, ¿no? Están aniquilando la posibilidad del futuro. Entonces es interesante también poner esto en contexto de cómo regionalmente tenemos ciertas tensiones que pueden ser más agudas en unos otros lugares, pero cómo definitivamente este debate tiene que seguirse fortaleciendo porque la lucha por la soberanía alimentaria con un campo envejecido o con una expulsión que se está profundizando en la juventud de los territorios se complejiza. Entonces necesitamos cuidar a esas infancias y juventudes que tienen que fortalecer esas reivindicaciones por la reforma agraria, por la soberanía alimentaria, y bueno, por un poco los puntos también que se estaban debatiendo, que tienen que ver con la profundización de la democracia, con la construcción de economías populares, con los cuidados vinculando al cuerpo humano, pero también a la madre tierra, y en fin, varios elementos de esos que también tienen que ver con recoger esa ancestralidad que hoy estamos ahí también como combinando con la modernidad, ¿no? Entonces, ¿cómo hoy encaramos también esas memorias?
Bien, y por ahí venía la siguiente pregunta un poco, ¿no? Acá estamos en un foro donde estamos recalcando, digamos, o reafirmando que en realidad queremos la unidad, pero en la diversidad, que unidad no significa homogeneidad, sino que por todo lo contrario, que las diversidades de todos los tipos y colores es lo que es nuestra fortaleza de alguna manera, ¿no? Es lo que nos hace más fuertes y más grandes. Y hablando como sobre intersecciones, ¿verdad? Sobre líneas e ideas que se cruzan, ¿cuáles son los desafíos? Esta va a ser una pregunta doble, pero vamos a empezar por el principio, que es entre juventudes, alimentación y territorio, como cuáles son los desafíos que se presentan y a la vez también cuál es el lado propositivo, digamos, qué rol están cumpliendo hoy los jóvenes en la alimentación y en la recuperación de territorios. Y después la siguiente pregunta, que quizás sea más para Julián porque tiene que ver como con la organización científica más crítica, es cuál es el cruce entre ciencia, territorio y juventudes. Si quieren, Jamie, puedes empezar con la primera que tiene que ver con alimentación y territorio.
Bueno, creo que uno de los desafíos que son parte del debate campesino de la región es el tema de los accesos. Estamos en nuestro territorio con el extractivismo, el agronegocio a tope y bueno, la apuesta es siempre la reforma agraria. Pensarnos desde la recuperación del acceso a la tierra, a los bienes comunes, para poder producir. No podemos hablar de producción si no tenemos en dónde hacerlo. Y ver también ese campo como un espacio digno de ser habitado. Dignificar el campo. y eso va a permitir que las juventudes permanezcan y quienes se han ido desplazados por distintas razones pero vuelvan a condiciones que permitan el habitar el territorio.
Bien, y en cuanto a el otro cruce que planteábamos recién, que tiene que ver con la ciencia y la juventud, es como, bueno, cómo articular de alguna manera una mirada académica con las miradas territoriales jóvenes.
Bien, yo creo que un debate que ha estado bastante postergado es cómo las transformaciones estructurales que estamos hoy atravesando como humanidad están afectando de manera particular a estas nuevas generaciones, por ejemplo con el cambio climático. Hoy la alteración en los ciclos del agua, la alteración de las plagas, toda la pérdida de biodiversidad, digámoslo poniéndolo en términos coloquiales, hacen más difícil el aprender a ser campesino. Si sembrábamos la semilla de maíz a final de la semana de febrero porque históricamente venían las lluvias la primera semana de marzo, bueno, ya nos damos cuenta que eso no está pasando. Entonces, si vas a tener estas primeras generaciones que ya se van a dar cuenta que sembraron y no les funcionó porque factores externos a su propia voluntad no habilitan ahora que los procesos biológicos que durante milenios estuvieron sucediendo ahora pasen, pues esos son elementos que dificultan esos procesos de interdependencia con el territorio. Así con eso, pero también con los procesos, por ejemplo, de acumulación de agrotóxicos en los suelos, con los procesos de pérdida de biodiversidad, con los procesos de contaminación del agua. Entonces hay unas condiciones biológicas y ecosistémicas que hoy hacen más complejo habitar los territorios. De manera que ese componente es importante ponerlo, porque eso supone que necesitamos atender de manera particular también estas vulneraciones que se están generando. Y pues hay una tendencia creciente y que es, digamos, hegemónica, que es la de la expulsión de los territorios, pero también hay procesos contratendenciales, también hay experiencias desde las juventudes pues que reivindican unas formas de vida digna en el campo, porque también podemos analizar los procesos de precarización en la ciudad. Entonces estamos viendo ahora que la posibilidad de acceder a un techo digno, de la posibilidad de tener un trabajo digno, la posibilidad de respirar algo digno, cada vez se hace más difícil también para estas nuevas generaciones. Entonces, vinculándolo con lo que comentaba Jamie de la reforma agraria integral y popular, hoy quizás hay una pauta que históricamente no ha tenido la reforma agraria y es la heterogenización del sujeto de la reforma agraria. O sea, sí necesitamos tierra para campesinos y gente que siempre ha estado en la tierra y en el mar, ¿no? Hay una reforma agraria que también tiene que atender a esa gente, pero también necesitamos la gente de la ciudad que quiera venir a la tierra. Y hay que habilitar esos procesos y hay que entender que hay formas nuevas, que hay otras pedagogías, que hay otros tiempos además para que esa gente que llega pueda instalarse y vivir de manera digna en el territorio. Entonces creo que ahí hay reflexiones que están haciendo falta, por ejemplo, con el análisis de la cuestión agraria desde la perspectiva de las juventudes, porque estos son épocas convulsionadas donde hay unas transformaciones, digamos, profundas, que es necesario evaluarlas con más atención.
Bien, para ir terminando con esta entrevista o esta mesa redonda que podemos llamarle de conversación, ¿cuáles son las expectativas que tienen del foro, qué les gustaría que desean y por qué van a luchar para que suceda al final de esta semana de intercambios y convergencia?
Bueno, creo que la expectativa es el sueño de esa transformación sistémica. Este ha sido un trabajo que viene caminando desde hace muchos años, llamándolo como Nyéléni, pero que también desde los territorios se viene construyendo, que han hecho posible el que hoy podamos hablar de estos espacios, el que hoy podamos hablar de estos temas. Entonces, ese accionar, esa articulación, esa capacidad de alianza que se ha logrado, el sueño y por lo que apostamos es esa transformación. no hay otra opción y es ahora. Entonces, desde los jóvenes, la apuesta es construir desde nuestros territorios, desde nuestra base, el permanecer como una forma de resistir, es parte de ese camino para poder construir este sueño.
Yo creo que hay como expectativas a corto, mediano y largo plazo. Digamos, al cortísimo plazo, una así como fundamental del foro es que los debates de la asamblea después se reflejen en la declaración final del foro. Eso es como tenemos que comenzar por ahí. Al mediano plazo hay una agenda también de eventos que nosotros esperamos que este sea un inicio de un proceso que pueda tener cierta continuidad. Por ejemplo, el próximo año es la Conferencia Internacional de Reforma Agraria. Sería muy interesante poder trabajar de aquí al foro para llevar una postura, digamos, un poco más organizada y más reivindicativa sobre esa necesidad de incorporar con mayor presencia a las juventudes en estos procesos de reforma agraria integral y popular. Y a largo plazo, bueno, hay que ver estos próximos foros cómo se vienen, cómo se van renovando además esas energías generacionales en estos procesos globales de articulación, cómo vamos también transformando a la interna esas formas, digamos, jerarquizadas a veces también en las que, bueno, transitamos y que a veces también están presentes en nuestros propios procesos. Entonces, por ahí vienen un poco todas esas expectativas, pero pues siempre con la energía puesta en que las cosas tienen que cambiar, en que las cosas pueden cambiar y que tenemos además como esos dos momentos en el que sí nos imaginamos y ponemos los horizontes y las miras lejos, pero donde también estamos experimentando lo deseable, ¿no? Capaz no en la escala que nos gustaría, pero sí ya hay cosas en una pequeña escala en las que nos sentimos satisfechas sobre qué es lo que sí queremos, qué es lo que sí reafirmamos, y creo que esas formas de acción, de la militancia, pues son importantes para dar ese combustible de la mira al largo aliento.
Sin lugar a dudas. Jamie, Julián, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos, por visitar la radio y por compartir con nosotros sus debates, sus conocimientos y sus luchas. Esperemos que entonces estas expectativas sean cumplidas y que el foro pueda estar también a la altura de las demandas de las asambleas. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, gracias a ustedes.
Bueno, ahora vamos a cambiar el bloque y se viene un bloque en inglés. Va a entrar a conducir nuestra compañera Bianca con algunas compañeras que fueron parte de la Asamblea de Mujeres. Así que a continuación las van a escuchar a ellas.
La crisis climática, alimentaria, política y económica no son casualidad. Son producto de un sistema capitalista que ya no da para más. El momento de cambiarlo todo es ahora. El tercer Foro Global Nyéléni 2025 está en marcha.
A comer aborrajao caliente por solo 500 pesos. El aborrajao lleva plátano, jamón y queso y le vale 500 pesos. A comer aborrajao caliente por solo 500 pesos. El aborrajao está caliente, está sabroso y le vale 500 pesos. Juan se levanta pronto para trabajar. Junto a Adelina tiran pa'lante. Tienen 2 hijas buenas estudiantes y una casita por pagar. Mientras se calienta el aceite, los plátanos hay que cortar. También hay que lavarse los dientes. Harina y huevo hay que mezclar para el aborrajao. Y el aborrajao, y el aborrajao lleva plátano, jamón y queso y le vale 500 pesos. A comer aborrajao caliente por solo 500 pesos. Y el aborrajao está caliente, está sabroso y le vale 500 pesos. Adelina, 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 Adelina tiene la receta que le ha enseñado su mamá. Y todo aquel que viene a probar repite y agacha cabeza. Juan, con megáfono en mano, canasta de mimbre y voluntad, predicando a todos los hermanos a comer aborrajao caliente por solo 500 pesos. El aborrajao lleva plátano, jamón y queso y le vale 500 pesos. A comer aborrajao caliente por solo 500 pesos. El aborrajao está caliente, está sabroso y le vale 500 pesos. Con asfalto que no tiene carretera, rueda el barrio y va cantando pa' suplirse a su manera. No es ingrato dar la lucha a la falta de trabajo, y ni hablar si al empezar nos toca empezar de abajo. Mano a mazo con orgullo la desigualdad del mundo. Hice un hueco pa' sacar este miedo de bien profundo. Que se abran las compuertas de tanta gente valiente que te vende en una esquina algo rico y caliente por solo 500 pesos. 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 Por solo 500 pesos.
A walk بشهيات القبل ورودك تغريني بشهيات القبل.
وانا سحاب للورد اللي يدفيك بالبرد، ورد عكتافك عشفافك عشفافك ينبت الورد. انا بميل عالبطيء عم بحبك من دون تفكير، عم بصحى قبل ما افيق عم بتعلق اكتر فيك. انا سحاب للورد اللي يدفيك بالبرد، ورد عكتافك عشفافك عشفافك ينبت الورد. انا بميل عالبطيء عم بحبك من دون تفكير، عم بصحى قبل ما افيق عم بتعلق اكتر فيك. عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك. وانا ماليش على قلبي عازة عم بتعلق اكتر باساس انا قلبي غابة وانت دبابة. تعالي لحالي نازل لو بصير بطل تصفير، رح افلت انا عصافير، رح افلت انا شنزير، رح اتعربى السور الصين لاني سحابة للورد اللي يدفيك بالبرد. ورد عكتافك عشفافك عشفافك ينبت الورد. انا بميل عالبطيء عم بحبك من دون تفكير، عم بصحى قبل ما افيق عم بتعلق اكتر فيك. عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق هلا هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق هلا هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق علق هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك، عم بتعلق هلا هلا عم بتعلق هلا فيك.
Relevons la tête, il suffit pas de faire un vote blanc pour que leur magouille s'arrête. Ce sont les concessions si bêtes, l'essentiel c'est qu'on s'y mette. Si on est pris pour des moutons, c'est forcément parce qu'on s'y prête. Révoltons-nous pour le changement, relevons la tête, il suffit pas de faire un vote blanc pour que leur magouille s'arrête. Ce sont les concessions si bêtes, l'essentiel c'est qu'on s'y mette. Si on est pris pour des moutons, c'est forcément parce qu'on s'y prête.
Mes chers compatriotes, tout comme vous j'aime la France. Avec mon nouveau programme choc, je m'en vais combler ces carences. Soit au-delà des apparences, au fait toi t'as des papiers, car le quart de ma campagne c'est sur les lascars de quartier. Ils balancent une connerie et les infos fausse la donne. La diffuse, la déforme et ça fausse la donne. Ils parient, tapis sur la bêtise et pire, ils récupèrent leur mise minorité dans le viseur pour que la peur divise. Ils trichent, s'attachent, attisent le clash. Tout ça pourquoi l'emprise du cash niche leur niche autant de la fiche. Fanatise les types qui marchent, ils marchent les mêmes discours qui sinon circage boursier. À croire que le pouvoir en place n'en a que le nom, pourquoi s'y fier? On privilégie l'individu au détriment des idées. On s'en dit même plus des faits. Déroulé dans un monde fou, on t'utilise, on te manipule, mais tu prétends résister. Pendant qu'ils nous enfument, on souhaite de se noyer dans un bain de feu. Nous pour le changement, relevons tête, il suffit pas de faire un vote blanc pour que leur magouille s'arrête. Ce sont les concessions si bêtes, l'essentiel c'est qu'on s'y mette. Si on est pris pour des moutons, c'est forcément parce qu'on s'y prête. Révoltons-nous pour le changement, relevons la tête, il suffit pas de faire un vote blanc pour que leur magouille s'arrête. Ce sont les concessions si bêtes, l'essentiel c'est qu'on s'y mette. Si on est pris pour des moutons, c'est forcément parce qu'on s'y prête. Et t'en feras paître et peut-être avec le spectre de la tête prolo. Tu croirais qu'en votant pour, tu sortirais la tête de l'eau. Il vapote dans des bains de foule, débat sur le faux pour que le vrai coule. Sous les flots d'infos, du coup, le saoulé. Faut que je me défoule, écoute les battements de la révolte. Et pas tenter la riposte. Souvons-nous que les battants rejoignent leur poste. Il est temps qu'on les apostrophe. C'est pour cette cause qu'on se dévoue. J'ai plus la force de rester sobre. Retenez nos mots. Révoltons-nous pour le changement. Relevons la tête, il suffit pas de faire un vote blanc pour que leur magouille s'arrête. Ce sont les concessions si bêtes. L'essentiel c'est qu'on s'y mette. Si on est pris pour des moutons, c'est forcément parce qu'on s'y prête. Révoltons-nous pour le changement. Relevons la tête, il suffit pas de faire un vote blanc pour que leur magouille s'arrête. Tendons l'oreille sur notre passage. Car si l'aube de la révolte monte et perce les nuages, elle sera perçue comme des chuchotements.
Looky, baby.
هناك في كمين، هناك في كفار، هناك الدمار تدخل النار. صدق خايف تشبكم وايف عندك في وراي. تمشي يمين هناك في كمين، تمشي يسار هناك في كفار، ترجع وري هناك الدمار، حتنتحر حتدخل النار. تسكت خايف تتكلم حتشبكم واي. المكتوب عندك في وراي ما ظنيت والله الواحد زهق من الإحساس ده. كل يوم معني ويتحاسده وكل يوم تنصدم في ناس فاسدة عندها سرطان في النية ونفسي بس استأصل بالفاس ده. الناس بتظلم الكاس ده، الناس يحيروا الراس ده، عايشين في نفس قلوب كل يوم نغلط وكل يوم بنتوب. نشتغل لحد ما الغروب يجي ما هيجيك غير المكتوب. كل يوم فرحك ما في مسلوب، كل يوم على أمرك مغلوب، كل يوم تلقى الحال مقلوب، الحق مأكول والدم مشروب. كس تمشي يمين هناك في كمين، تمشي يسار هناك في كفار، ترجع وري هناك الدمار، حتنتحر حتدخل النار. تسكت زي تصدق يا خاي، تتكلم حتشبكم واي. المكتوب عندك في وراي ما ظنيت والله. انسى وعيش أو عيش وتناسك، ما تحنك بيش يتماسك، أبرد ما تكسر راسك. كل المواضيع حساسة، كل الناس والناس حترفع كاسة، حتوصل ناسة وتفقد نفسك وتفقد ناسك. ما بنغير اللون، ما عندنا وشين، ما حصل الظلم نزول في الدنيا دي، عشنا الزين والشين. بنخاف من رب الكون، عارفين الصح وين، عارفين هيعدي اليوم بس ما عارفين هنعيش لمتين. عارفينها ما بتدوم، عارفين أجل المظلوم، يا ما خانتنا الظنون. الهم واقف في البلعوم، نط من البخرة ما بعرف عم راقد لي ساعة ما قادر نوم. عيش في واقع ملعون بس إن شاء الله في يوم حتهم. بس تمشي يمين هناك في كمين، تمشي يسار هناك في كفار، ترجع وري هناك الدمار، حتنتحر حتدخل النار. تسكت زي تصدق يا خاي، تتكلم حتشبكم واي. المكتوب عندك في وراي ما ظنيت والله. هناك في كمين هناك في كفار، هناك الدمار تدخل النار. صدق يا خاي تشبكم واي. عندك في وراي ما ظنيت والله. صدق يا خاي حتشبكم واي. عندك في وراي.
Land, water, seeds, health. They are not for profit, they are life. No more theft, no more destruction. With feminism, indigenous knowledge and rights for all, We rise to defend the commons. In Nyéléni, the future is rooted in the people.
Hello, everyone. Good night. Bianca here speaking from the Nyéléni radio. And today we're going to talk with Nadini from the World Forum of Fisher People and with Gayani Gomez from the World March of Women. Today we had our Women's Assembly and it was a beautiful moment, and we would talk with them about the role of grassroots feminism on building the struggle for food sovereignty, building the struggle for systemic transformation, and how it was coming all the way here. Thank you for being here, comrades. It's a pleasure. And please introduce yourselves and let the people know who you are.
So thank you, Bianca, for the invitation. My name is Nadine Nemhard, and I live and work in a community in Belize. My organization that I represent here is the World Forum of Fisher Peoples. We are a movement of millions of fisherfolk around the world. We have 52 members, and we are represented in every continent.
So, thank you, Bianca. My organization is called Women's Center. It is a local feminist organization. It is actually built in 1982 to fight against the corporate power. Actually, it was started with a struggle happened in apparel factory in Ekala, which is near to the Katanaika Free Trade Zone. So at the moment, we have more than 5,000 members across the country, and we are we have 4 pillars of activities that we are doing, like awareness raising, knowledge sharing, and advocacy and movement building. And also we are linking our struggles with the international movements.
Please share a name with us.
My name, sorry. I forgot it, sorry. My name is Gayani Gomez. I'm the program manager for the Women's Center.
Thank you. Thank you, comrades, for being here. Well, both of your organizations have such important roles in this forum, and I would like to start with you, Gayani, because you were basically the beautiful and powerful women organization that hosted our assembly today. So, how was it for you, and how was the path towards here?
Okay, so it's in Sri Lanka, being a feminist movement is always challenging. So always in Sri Lankan context, and since we are facing highly patriarchal as typical South Asian country, so being in a international movement like this is always challenging. But it is always a learning for us, and is always sharing our solidarity towards all the friends, all the movements, all the women across the globe. So inside of this, we are affiliated with World March of Women. We are a member of World March of Women. So as the national coordination body of the World March of Women, we joined recently, actually last April only, we joined with the Nyéléni process. So this is a huge, long process, but we tried our best to support as the local host women organization here. So our main aim was to bring the feminist perspective to the Nyéléni Global Forum, because feminist solidarity is the heart of food sovereignty as well. So as an organization rooted for last 42 years in Sri Lanka, with our experiences, we gave our fullest support to all the members and the organizations to bring to take feminism as a central point of the whole program.
Beautiful. And Nadini, I think, we were all there in the Women's Assembly today, and I heard you speaking, and it was beautiful and powerful. And you shared about how there are not a lot of women fishers. So it's in comparison to the amount of men in this organization. So how it was a struggle to build self-organized space for the women in our organization, and then you are here. It's a beautiful movement, and I want to know about how it was, all of this, and then the responsibility of being representing women fisher here in the Nyéléni Forum.
Yes, so in the movement of the World Forum of Fisher Peoples, I think we are one of the leading movements, if you're not solo feminist or women's movement, to include women, because our constitution, and we have been in existence, and our formation was from 1997. Our constitution, it mandates that in everything that we do, there must be a woman. So there is always one man. That is the practice within WFFP, in the sense that if we have co-chairs, a man and a woman, and if we're invited to a meeting, we use criteria that include women, and if we have space that is more than one, there can be 2 women, but never two men. So it is a practice that we have full participation of women within the World Forum of Fisher People. So in that sense, women were always a part of the organization, because when it's fixed in policy, it is low. So when we have our meetings and then the women show up, they build their capacity to participate in this leadership position. And that's how I became a part of some of the leadership roles in the WFFP. It's built within the policy. Our role here is to bring the struggles of women in fisheries, and it's no different from the struggles of any other woman here, but just to highlight our sector amongst the other movements present.
Yes?
Sorry. So Bianca, I just wanted to tell that I think Women's Center is like a very good example that convergence is the core of this Nyéléni Global Forum, because we are working with apparel sector and the plantation sector workers. So as I think I mentioned in many articles also, this forum is not going to be a forum of only fisheries women, only farmers. Like, it is a form of all the women who are struggling in the ground. So since we are also coming from for the workers who are working in the global supply chain, so there we are going to connect our struggle also to the global movement. So that's what also I just wanted to mention.
Beautiful. Thank you. And well, that's what I want to know next, actually. And we can start with Nyéléni, which is, you said something very interesting today too about building a feminist grassroots perspective for fishery. And then in my brain, I was just thinking how that means that we have to build a feminist perspective based on our political context, no matter what we are doing, right? And then how it was coming to this, the idea of building this feminist perspective on fishery, and then how do we build a feminist perspective based on our ground?
Yes, in all of our work, we start with some kind of training and capacity building. And it is important, especially when you represent a global movement, in the sense that different continents have perspective differently. So I will give you the example. So I am from Belize, and in the Caribbean region, it is different in terms of patriarchy in Asia or in Africa, based on culture and cultural difference. So when the idea of pushing for this feminist perspective within the fishing sector, when we spoke about it, when we first spoke about it in my region, because I also represent the Caribbean region. It's a network of 17 Caribbean nations, including countries like Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada, and the fishermen of this region, when we came together at a regional level, and I presented these ideas similar to what we are discussing here about the struggles of women, one leader, a very prominent and powerful leader, stood up and said, "We don't have women issues in the Caribbean. That is something from global, like it's an international matter. It's not a matter that we need to come up with." And it is the idea indeed. And so it started there, and we had to look. We don't have any kind of information that time in terms of, say, the different women, the amount of women in leadership position in Fisher's organization. And all of that, we had to like start to build information and build awareness in certain areas and certain sector and certain continent to come to a level of understanding when it comes to this feminist perspective. And after doing this wave, it reached our area, and after doing some work, we have created women's group, women fishers group. They are participating now more in leadership positions in the fisher organizations. And who said that we don't have issues now see the issues that we face. And it's, again, similar. It's cultural, some of it cultural, and a lot of patriarchy and dominance of women and control of women in the home and in the work. And so, yeah, through capacity building and advocacy, we started to spread this narrative to the regions that feel like it is something from another culture and not represented in our area.
I think there's nothing more feminist than the ability to share.
Yes.
And that's how we understand how patriarchy works in our lives, right? And well, the same question for you, Gayani, like how did you build a feminist, I mean, you have a very long history of struggling, but like how did you build a feminist perspective based on the political context here?
So it is also very challenging actually. Like we are a country in the global south, and under the globalization we are facing key challenges like patriarchy, fundamentalism and militarization. So those are like, we also faced 30 years of civil war here. So as always, like in Sri Lanka's economy, like women are like contributing very largely to the economy, but okay, so contributing largely to the economy, like, but still they carry the burden of care work, harvesting, debt, poverty wages, because we are still demanding a proper living wage for the women who are in the corporate sector. So, like, we know that transnational corporations are working over profit, and they are getting profit, where these workers are still getting like 27,000 of a minimum wage in Sri Lanka. So as a like organization rooted in the grassroots level, so what, as I mentioned earlier, we have started doing like for the past 42 years, like capacity building is the main thing, because workers have to be aware, women have to be aware about their rights, and then psychosocial support for them, because most of them are survivors of gender-based violence, so the counseling support is more strong, and then the advocacy, and also because policy level changes are must, and also movement building, because if we are not building grassroots level movement, so when we are talking about women leadership and representation, grassroots level issues will not address at that level if we do not build the grassroots movement at the grassroots level. So that is the key areas that we are working on.
Beautiful. And could you give us like some examples, maybe some stories about, you know, the struggle here? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, examples from my sector. Okay, so like for an example, we can say recently we had this struggle against EPF robbery. Because of the IMF conditions and IMF regulations, most of the workers, this EPF is the social security payment for them. So they are going to be, because of the domestic debt restructuring, this EPF Provident Fund, Employee Provident Fund, it has to be like going to be deducted from them as a result of the domestic debt restructuring. So most of the workers were on the protest, and they were like fighting, and they were talking in the factories, and most of the peers were spreading the news among their peer colleagues who are working with them, and then people were awake of this, because this is not going to, I mean, this is not only going to happen to one single family, this is like disaster for the whole work apparel sector, not only for the apparel sector, for the whole corporate sector. So that is one example, because now we have been able to like bring it to the neutral level. And also in 2011 also we had a huge fight against this APF robbery again under the previous governments. And also in 2007 we had a case, a doctor has raped a worker who is in the apparel sector and killed. and threw her body from the upper floor of the hospital. And we had the only witness is from the cleaning, the janitorial service, the mine staff. So she was also feared to talk about the witness. She also feared to witness the situation because doctors are, in very high profile. So she is just a pro sector worker. So we filed a fundamental right case, and we did the whole case, and we actually won, because I don't want to say that the death penalty was given to the assault, but I don't want to talk about that, because as human rights defenders we are not talking about that. But justice was happened to this lady. So these are some examples.
I see. And same question for you, Nadine. Do you have any examples, any history, any stories that you wanted to share?
Well, I will keep it national for my country. Yes. And in terms of women in fisheries, the area of work that they participate in is usually menial and the lower end, where the financial gain to sustain themselves is not that much. So it's like if you're working in the cooperative and you're just cleaning the product and so on, they work heavy hours, and the financial gain is not that much. And that's the ones who do receive some financial compensation. But then there's those who participate without the financial compensation, because it is the duty, or they're feeling like they have to contribute to the work. But we found in some cultures home, the husband, they do not want their wives to leave the home to contribute in any other kind of work. So they find things around the fishing and the home, to do some of the work. And so that was a problem, in the sense that the women face that patriarchal push on them, that they cannot pursue their desire, which is to build income. And so when I did some interviews around COVID, I don't know, times changed, and we spoke to these women, and they spoke about wanting that feminist fisher economy. They want to have their own income. I mean, times were changing in terms of the prices of goods increasing, health care, all of these things affected how they live, and so they wanted to rise economically. And when we interviewed, they all had aspirations, and organizations within their communities, because we're talking about small fishing communities along the coast, with little access to mainland, some of them, support them to have that financial security, or that financial autonomy, or that financial sovereignty. So they are doing homestead. They have some tourists that would come into their community, and when the tourists would go with the husband and the sons on the boat to fish, they are excited to bring them home in their house, and they prepare and cook the fish, and they receive an income, and they're so excited about that monies. They speak so much about that monies that they receive. They do many different entrepreneurial activities. One had a dream to have a coffee shop where the people from the community, because we're talking about communities with not a lot of access to internet, and it was around COVID, and everything was dependent on online sourcing of goods online. So they wanted to build an internet cafe. So they had a lot of dreams and aspirations, and that's a transformation and a change that I can describe within our fishing communities home.
And I just wanted to continue what I said. So one of the recent victory achievement for us was just after the COVID-19 pandemic, and also after the crisis, workers were did not pay their basic wages even properly here. So we did a huge campaign, and we launched a huge campaign with the support of international solidarity. It was like Pay Your Workers campaign, targeting the transnational corporations like international brands, H&M, Nike, Primark, Victoria's Secret. So we were like holding the posters all over the world, and we targeted brand ambassadors like for Adidas, we targeted Lionel Messi. So Messi was in Indonesia, we were holding like banners, Messi, why are you supporting this brand? They are the wage theft, they are the thieves of these wages. The workers are like, they have to provide the salaries, because we know during the pandemic also the corporate sector profited there. Got a lot of profit. So this was like, even after the pandemic, this campaign is still ongoing, the Pay Your Workers campaign across the globe. So that is also one of the success stories that we have to share here.
And I think that both of your organizations has this in common, which is from your political context to be fighting corporate power, to be fighting transnational corporations into very different areas, but the struggle is the same. And I want to understand how this works, and I would like to start with you, Nyéléni. Like, how do your organization, how the women in your organization build together to fight corporate power in fishery?
Yes, so right now, as we, the World Forum of Fisher People, announced at the Women's Assembly that we have launched a campaign at our own Women's Assembly last month to resist industrial aquaculture. And that is one form of industrial fisheries that we have decided that must be something that we take on our agenda. How we come to these agreements is that we make our resolutions, and that is like priority in alignment with the climate crisis. So our fishers, they are at the front line, and they face grave injustice when it comes to climate crisis. And so we have a campaign on the sea level rise and how it's affecting our fishers when it comes to earning their living, and the destruction of some of their gears, their equipment, and how it affects them, how it affects even the food that they have to consume now because of having less financial autonomy due to some of these giant issues that they face. And so we are speaking a lot right now in the World Forum of Fisher People on many things that affect us, including the climate crisis and a big push because this blue food is being pushed on us by our governments and by the corporations. And it is said that in the next 2030, 2050, we cannot feed the population, we cannot feed the community, and the only solution that our governments are saying to feed our people, we must, with the fish, we must do aquaculture. And so the governments are pushing for aquaculture, and the small-scale fishers, we are pushing back, saying no, that is not the solution. Food sovereignty, us fishing in our oceans, in our rivers, in our lakes, that we can sustain that, we can manage that, we can manage the resources. We are the custodian of the sea, and so allow us to continue fishing and not push cage fish on us, because the cage fish, that will be the food they present to us, but the same people who are saying that is the solution, you will not see them eating any aquaculture fish. So that is our campaign here from a feminist perspective and from a global level perspective to resist the industrial aquaculture that is being pushed on us.
And well, same questions for you, Nyéléni. Like, how is the struggle to fight corporate power here?
So actually, before I start, I just wanted to say that recently, last April, we did a huge protest in Sri Lanka with the World March of Women to support women apparel sector workers to fight against the corporate power. Especially it was like targeting the Rana Plaza tragedy happened in Bangladesh, which killed like more than over 10,000 lives in Bangladesh. So it was like a key remark for Sri Lanka, because nowadays we are advocating for accord for Sri Lanka, because now accord is not only on fire and building safety. So when we come to talk about like the corporate powers, like in my sector, garment brands are the corporate power in the sector. So they exploit workers in Sri Lanka while they're like claiming ethical image in the global south, global north. So basically, what they promote is clean. We promote clean clothes where they are promoting dirty clothes. They are not providing like proper living wage. They do not have, even workers do not have proper living standards. They do not have nutritious food. I mean, we did a research, and it was like identified more than 66% in the apparel sector workers in Sri Lanka are suffering from anemia and malnutrition. So their children is also doing same, because they are not getting a proper living wage. So living wage is a core of all these things. So, and also when corporations are capturing the food, seeds, lands, and also like they are leaving their communities dependence. And also when it's come to my sector, these workers do not have right to the land because they are migrants. So they do not even eat a plant in their ground. I mean, the same thing I think with y'all. So that is also though we are like connecting from different sectors in the world, I think our struggle is same. So also like when we talk about the fighting against corporate power, women also resist by organizing at the base, creating alternative economies like sharing cooperatives, agroecology, like building transitional solidarity is also like more important these days. And also I wanted to talk about the circular economy, where we talk about what we talked about yesterday morning. And also like when it's come to corporate economy, most of these cooperative powers have co-opted this in the apparel and the food sectors. So especially when it's come to greenwash the same extractive models. So while brands are promoting like recycling and reusing the same, campaigns, and they're promoting recycling and reusing the same product, still workers are facing poverty wages, toxic environment, waste dumping. So through circular practices, however, these have to be rooted in the grassroots communities as well. So women workers are repairing, they are sharing, they are reusing, but the problem is, as a part of the survival stages, like women sustain especially in the plantation, also women sustain seed saving as well. So I mean, though we are like representing different region, different communities, our struggle are same, and whole over the world is now talking about just transition. But the problem is, where is the just transition? So that is the main co-fighting areas. Yes.
You struck a vein, because I remember over 10 years ago, all of what you said, one of maybe your members spoke to me bilaterally about this, and she told me, I think it was in India though, that to expose these corporate clothing line, they hosted a tribunal, and they invited like the executives of this clothing company, and most of them did not take up the call, but one came, and it was H&M. She gave me the story, and one of the lady came that worked in the factory, and she stood up on the stage, and it was like David and Goliath in the woman form, and she looked up and she said, "Why are you paying us so little when you make so much money from us?" And they could not give an answer. And I want to say that even though we hardly meet at this level, because this is only the third Nyéléni in so many years, we still learn from the different movements, because now in the fishing community, we have hosted our first tribunal to expose the injustices that have been done on our fisher people. So we did in this part, so we took from that example we did in this part maybe 2 years ago. We did in Cape Town, Africa last year, and we're planning to host the first ever global fisheries the first global fisheries tribunal with a focus on industrial aquaculture. And so that is at its inception stage of planning, but we want to have within 1 year, and we know the hard work it takes to take this forward. Between now, not even 1 year, and September, we want to have some process already in place and some results if possible. And in 2027, we want to expose all of this information in a General Assembly that we have planned in Turkey. And so we are already interconnecting as we proceed in the years of Nyéléni.
And also, I wanted to tell that thank you so much for that adding. So also now the main strategy what brands are doing in transnational cooperation in the global north, since now this EU, CSDDD and HR, human rights mandatory due diligence is coming up, they are moving their headquarters from global north to the African countries. So this is how they are skipping their accountability and responsibility towards the workers who are working to them in the global south. So brands are spending thousands of American dollars for their brand audits, but the ground level realities is not revealing properly. The problem is, even in the middle managements, even in the factories, they are not telling the truth. So there is a gap, there is a communication gap, and there is strategies where brands are also, corporations are also using to get rid of all these things, and they are just sitting on the high chairs, and all these workers have to suffer in the grassroots level.
The struggle is huge. That's why it's so important for us to connect our struggles, right? We have all of these, I don't know, it's all of these organizations that build the Nyéléni, and it's exactly what we are feeling here, right? It's the sense that even though we come from different contexts and backgrounds and we struggle in different areas, to build the systemic transformation, they all have to be connected. And in that sense, I know that you're already talking about this, and I think it's beautiful that it happened naturally because it was the next question, to understand this. How do we build systemic transformation by connecting all of our struggles? And then in that sense, what was the role of today's Women's Assembly? I would like to start by you Nadini, please.
Yes, well, they give us a title. We do not claim this title anymore in the World Forum of Fisher Peoples. We do not like to refer to ourselves as small scale, but we are categorized. We just say fisher folk and different titles, but in official documents, we still have to use it because it exists if you're reading. But let's say we are small. Being small means that we don't have the resources, the financial and other resources to carry out our activities. So that is the foundation to take forward any work. So we struggle a lot in our communities to access resources, financial or not, to support us to build a campaign, to fight and push back. So we are vulnerable in that area, and that's why it opens the door for cooptation and different forms of actions that we do not necessarily should take, but because we're so vulnerable in that way, sometimes it happens. But what we have been doing now is to build solidarity. We call it philanthropy, solidarity amongst the movements. So we have partnered with World March of Women, WAMIP, and La Via Campesina. So 4 global movements within the last 2 years. We are an informal group studying the philanthropy world, where all the huge amount of fundings, where it's coming from, where it's going, because it is definitely missing us, and to see how we can access more of these resources to build on our work, to build our campaigns. And we could not have done that by ourselves. And from the time we have partnered with these global movements, we have seen that our issues it's highlighted, it's more exposed, and we were to find solutions. And so I hope I answered that question. Yeah, but it's the connection, the connectivity that is pushing us, propelling us forward. And we were moving, but when you come together, one prime minister in the Caribbean region said, plenty hands make work light. So when many of us are connecting to do the work, it becomes far less stressful and it becomes light. So the role of today's assembly, this is a very important and it's a very significant part of this entire Nyéléni process, because I'm learning now the history. Is my first participation. Of course, I did my research, but hearing it in the assembly that Miss Nyéléni was such a powerful lady, and to highlight her and name an entire conference from this lady says a lot. Says that we need to honor, respect, and support women, and the role of this assembly is crucial because mothers, daughters, sisters, we are the backbone of the family. We always say when there is a meeting in the fishing community, and if something goes wrong, we would look to see and identify if there was a woman, and more than likely there was no woman in that situation. Therefore, it did not succeed because we are always in the background, but we are powerful and we make things happen. So this was a very beautiful moment.
And I would like to know from you too, Gayani, how do we combine our struggles here in the Nyéléni Forum, and what was the role of the Assembly today?
So I think this forums brings together different women from different communities, like peasants, workers, fisher women, indigenous, feminist women, and from the environment movement also. So now here we have connected our struggle as representing the apparel sector, because they also have right violations related to their lands, their food sovereignty, and also related to climate justice as well. So today's Women Assembly made this visible, and we saw that our struggles are many, but our agenda is one same thing. And when I was listening to our leaders' vision and their experiences, their political dialogues related to the common political agenda, it was like, my God, it is the deep-rooted cause of the whole thing. And especially we were talking about that women are the backbone of the food sovereignty, and feminist struggle for food sovereignty is not only addressing gender, that it is also more than a struggle for land. And we talk about health and protection, women voices in diverse perspective and many processes, and women representation in the decision-making bodies. And I mean, we'll talk a lot, and we talk about feminist strategies, we talk about feminist struggles, violence against women, because that is a missing part. And it is we have to address that. Violence against women is increasing, hiding all across the globe. So that we have to address, other than empowering women against violence happening to them, they are not coming front. So that is also key. And also we talk about the convergence process towards 2025 Nyéléni Global since 2007, 2015, and we talk about feminist economy as well, especially in 2015 and now as well. And without financial independence, women are lost. Financial independence is also core of all these things. So I mean, today's Women Assembly, great job, and we heard a lot about different women, and also it was space to affirm women leadership across all movement. I was really sensitive to hear my sister from Palestine, and also sister who was not able to make it there from Afghanistan. So connected, right? Because even though she's not here, we are connected. And also this Women's Forum brought the feminist lens to the every agenda point. I think even now during our discussions happened yesterday and today's Youth Assembly, and also during the Women Assembly also, we brought the feminist perspective to the every agenda point, especially economy, land, climate, health, peace, everything. So this should be the core of feminism as well. And we did not forget about our history, as I mentioned earlier, because history is our foundation. And so no struggle for sovereignty is complete without women in the center. So that is also we have to remember. And also we got a chance to remember all the sisters who have been not able to make it today because of a lot of barriers. And we remember the women who, because actually we planted a tree at the end to show the future how our solidarity is during the Nyéléni global process happened in Sri Lanka in 2025. So this tree will be a symbol of convergence, and it is like its root will be our histories. Like when it's grow, we can see that the roots of this tree will be our history, and branches will be our movement, and the fruit are just for a feminist future that we are building together. So when we are planting this tree, we remembered all the sisters who were affected from the wars and conflicts and who cries for peace and justice. And because even in our sectors, access to justice is a huge problem. And also we remembered all the women who are not with us today because they are passed away during their struggles. And it is also like we learned a lot from our senior feminists who were present in the past and even now. And also as our sister from Afghanistan, we prayed for our sisters who have not been able to, who could make it because due to the cultural barriers and their repression and other barriers. And we remembered all the women with disabilities and different, sexual orientation as well. And it was contributed to all women across the globe, representing the whole communities, whole struggles, all grassroots movements, and it was just wow.
It really was just wow. And I invite everyone who is listening to maybe check our website, the Nyéléni Forum website, because then you can see the speakers from today and our social media too. You can see video clips from today. And then this comrade from Afghanistan, as Gayani was saying, she wasn't able to come because you cannot travel without a man in her country. So she was invited to be with us, but she couldn't make it. So she sent us a message, and we could listen in the session. And I think to finish for today, this has been very nice and very beautiful. I'm very happy to be talking with you. And just I wanted to know, what are your expectations for the forum, which actually starts tomorrow?
Before I reach that, I want you to remember, Gayani, when you speak about a tree that we planted, that it needs water as well.
Yes.
So let us not forget the water, and it can represent the sweat, because it's going to be hard work to reach where we need to go. But our expectation is, I'm going to just keep it very simple. It's to have that common agenda finalized and representing the movements equally and fairly and with respect and trust, and we work together, future of food sovereignty.
For me, it's strengthening the convergence. For me, it is also to one strategy, and also building the common political agenda that centers feminism. And the other one, I have 2, 3, can I tell? So sharing grassroots experiences and take this message also to the grassroots level as the representatives, and also planning joint activities beyond the forum, maybe against debt, against war, because after Nyéléni finish in 2025, maybe in September 14th, it is not going to end. This is going to be a start of a new, maybe 10 years of a journey. So we have to continue our fight. And also the final thing is leaving Nyéléni with renewed energy, clarity, and solidarity to fight globally and act locally.
Amazing. I would like to thank you both for being here with us tonight. And that's it. I hope everyone continues to listen to us tomorrow here at the Nyéléni Radio, where we are building systemic transformation, and it's now or never.
This was one more voice in the growing forum. We communicate to resist, we dream to transform. We will continue to meet in the territories, in the struggles, and at nyeleniglobalforum.org.